Jake was a bright student trapped in a cycle of digital fragmentation and constant, draining distraction. His vast potential was being steadily eroded by the persistent siren call of endless digital notifications. Despite his natural intelligence, his academic progress stagnated as his attention remained perpetually scattered across tabs. He found himself lost in a labyrinth of browser tabs and chaotic, never-ending social media feeds. This struggle was not a sign of laziness, but a symptom of a modern, fractured environment. The world around him was specifically designed to fracture his focus and diminish his cognitive capacity. Jake's turning point arrived when his math teacher noticed the familiar patterns from his own past. The teacher recognized the same struggle he once faced and decided to intervene with ancient wisdom. He introduced Jake to the profound Japanese Zen practice known as the art of Ichigyo-Zammai. This philosophy emphasizes the art of total immersion, teaching that true focus is a sacred act. It teaches that focus is not about forcing the mind to comply with rigid, harsh demands. Instead, it is about becoming completely absorbed in a single action with grace and deep intention. By shifting his perspective from fighting distractions to cultivating presence, Jake began to see clearly now. He realized his scattered mind was simply an untrained muscle in need of disciplined, intentional practice. The teacher explained that every moment is unique and deserves the entirety of one's focused attention. Jake listened intently, feeling the weight of his previous failures begin to lift from his shoulders. He understood that he had been treating his mind like a machine, rather than a garden. The concept of Ichigyo-Zammai offered a path toward reclaiming the sovereignty of his own thoughts. He looked at his textbooks, no longer seeing them as burdens but as opportunities for mastery. The digital noise that once defined his life now seemed distant, quiet, and entirely manageable today. He began to visualize his mind as a calm lake, undisturbed by the winds of distraction. Each breath he took felt more deliberate, grounding him in the reality of the present moment. The teacher watched with a knowing smile, seeing the spark of realization ignite in Jake's eyes. This was the first step toward transforming his scattered energy into a focused, powerful, creative force. Jake felt a surge of hope, realizing that his potential was not lost, just currently dormant. He committed himself to the practice, ready to face the challenges of his own wandering mind. The classroom felt different now, filled with the quiet promise of a new way of living. He understood that this was not a quick fix, but a lifelong journey of disciplined, intentional awareness. The siren call of the digital world faded into the background, losing its power over him. Jake stood up, ready to begin his journey toward mastery, one single task at a time. He walked home with a newfound sense of purpose, feeling the weight of his backpack lighten. The streets seemed quieter, as if the world was finally aligning with his internal calm resolve. He reached his desk, looking at the screen that had once been his primary source of chaos. With a steady hand, he closed every unnecessary tab, clearing the digital clutter from his view. He placed his phone in the drawer, removing the temptation that had plagued his study sessions. The silence in the room was no longer empty, but filled with the potential of deep work. He sat down, adjusting his posture to reflect the seriousness of his new, focused mental commitment. Taking a deep breath, he allowed the air to fill his lungs, centering his scattered thoughts. He remembered the teacher's words about the beauty of doing just one thing at a time. The textbook lay open before him, its pages inviting him into a world of pure knowledge. He focused on the first paragraph, letting the words sink in without the urge to wander. The text was complex, yet he found he could follow the logic with surprising, newfound clarity. Time seemed to stretch, no longer measured by the frantic ticking of a digital clock's pace. He was fully present, his mind engaged in a dance with the concepts on the page. When his mind drifted toward a stray thought, he caught it gently and brought it back. There was no frustration in this redirection, only the quiet satisfaction of returning to the task. He felt the muscles of his concentration strengthening with every minute of sustained, deep mental effort. The logic of the math problems began to unfold, revealing patterns he had previously missed entirely. He was no longer just reading, he was truly learning, absorbing the information into his core. The room remained still, a sanctuary he had built for his own intellectual and personal growth. He felt a profound sense of accomplishment, a stark contrast to his previous days of failure. The barrier between him and his goals was thinning, replaced by the bridge of his focus. He realized that the power to change his life had always been within his own reach. It required only the courage to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with his own mind. Every session was a building block, a testament to the power of consistent, intentional daily action. He looked at the clock, surprised by how much he had achieved in such short time. The exhaustion that usually plagued him was absent, replaced by a clean, sharp mental energy. He smiled, knowing that this was merely the beginning of a much larger, brighter personal journey. The path ahead was clear, illuminated by the simple, ancient wisdom of the focused, present mind. Jake closed his book, satisfied with the work he had done, and prepared for tomorrow's growth. Recognizing his scattered mind as an untrained muscle, Jake began to restructure his daily environment. He started by physically removing his phone, placing the device in a drawer far away. This simple act silenced the siren call of notifications that had long eroded his potential. He committed himself to singular, uninterrupted tasks, choosing to tackle one math problem at once. Although the initial sessions were met with intense mental resistance, he remained patient and calm. His mind frequently wandered toward digital distractions, craving the familiar rush of social media feeds. Instead of succumbing to frustration, he learned to gently guide his wandering attention back again. He practiced this redirection without self-judgment, treating each lapse as a natural part of growth. This consistent repetition gradually strengthened his concentration, turning his chaotic study habits into disciplined work. He proved that focus is a skill built through persistence rather than some innate talent. The hours he spent studying now felt fluid, purposeful, and remarkably free from digital fragmentation. Beyond mere academic success, Jake discovered that this practice profoundly enriched his entire daily life. He found himself fully present during meals, savoring every bite without reaching for his phone. Conversations with friends became deeper, as he listened with his whole heart instead of multitasking. Even ordinary moments like walking to class felt vibrant and alive under his focused gaze. By protecting his precious attention, he realized he was becoming more than just highly productive. He was becoming more alive, experiencing the world with a clarity he had never known. The philosophy of Ichigyo-Zammai had fundamentally altered his relationship with the passing of time. He understood that true power lies in dedicating full presence to one breath at once. By tackling one task at a time, he finally reclaimed the power to shape his future. The cycle of fragmentation was broken, replaced by the steady rhythm of intentional, focused action. Jake looked at his desk, seeing not a burden, but a space for deep work. He took a deep breath, centered his thoughts, and began his next assignment with ease. The digital noise of the world faded into the background, leaving only his clear intent. He was no longer a victim of his environment but the master of his focus. Every moment became an opportunity to practice the art of total, unwavering, and peaceful immersion. He realized that the secret to a meaningful life was hidden in these small, deliberate choices. His academic progress soared, reflecting the newfound discipline he had cultivated through his daily practice. Teachers noticed the change, remarking on his improved engagement and the quality of his work. Jake smiled, knowing the transformation came from within, through the simple, ancient wisdom of Zen. He continued to refine his habits, always returning to the core principle of Ichigyo-Zammai. One task, one moment, one breath at a time, he built the life he desired. The distractions of the digital age still existed, but they no longer held any power. He had learned to navigate the modern world while maintaining his inner peace and focus. This was the true gift of his journey, a skill that would serve him forever. He looked toward the horizon, confident in his ability to face whatever challenges might arise. His potential was no longer eroded, but channeled into meaningful pursuits that defined his character. The scattered mind was now a focused instrument, ready to create, learn, and truly live. He embraced the quiet intensity of his work, finding joy in the process of learning. The struggle had been the catalyst for a profound and lasting personal evolution for him. He walked forward with purpose, his attention anchored firmly in the present moment of time. The lessons of his math teacher had become the foundation of his new, intentional life. He was finally free from the cycle that had once trapped his bright, young mind. Each day was a new chance to practice the art of being completely, utterly present. He cherished the stillness, knowing it was the source of his greatest strength and clarity. The world seemed brighter, more detailed, and filled with possibilities he had previously ignored completely. He was no longer rushing through life, but savoring every step of his academic journey. The digital fragmentation was a distant memory, replaced by the harmony of a focused life. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the teacher who had shown him how. The practice of Ichigyo-Zammai was now woven into the very fabric of his existence. He was ready to face the future, one deliberate, focused action at a single time. His potential was finally being realized, day by day, through the power of his focus. He understood that his future was not a destination, but a series of present moments. By mastering his attention, he had mastered the art of living a truly intentional life. He closed his eyes for a second, feeling the peace of total, singular, calm immersion. The world was vast, but his focus was sharp, steady, and entirely under his control. He opened his eyes, ready to embrace the next task with his full, undivided heart. The journey of 1,000 miles had begun with a single, focused, and intentional breath. He was the architect of his own destiny, building it one moment at a time. With a steady hand and a clear mind, Jake stepped forward into his bright future.